Most people think a small lie is harmless. We tell them to get ahead, to look better, or to hide our mistakes. But every lie leaves an echo. Every lie creates a shadow. This is the story of Julian, a man who built a kingdom on a foundation of deceit, only to realize that the more he spoke, the less he truly had. If you want to know the true cost of your words, listen to this. Once, in a valley where the wind always whispered, lived a young man named Julian. Julian was talented, but he was in a hurry. He didn't want to wait for success. He didn't want to work for respect. He wanted to be a giant among men, and he wanted it immediately. He felt that honesty was a slow road that led nowhere. One day, while walking through a misty forest, Julian met an old woman sitting by a fire that burned without wood. Her eyes were like silver mirrors. She offered Julian a gift. "Every time you tell a lie," she said, her voice like cracking ice, "your wish will come true. But be warned, for every lie, a shadow will grow in your world. The echo of your deceit will eventually steal your silence." Julian didn't care about shadows. He only cared about results. His first lie was simple. He told the village merchants he had a secret map to a gold mine. Suddenly, gold appeared in his pockets. He felt a rush of power. That night, a small patch of darkness appeared in the corner of his room. It was a shadow that no lamp could light. Julian ignored it. He was too busy counting his new coins. He lied more. He lied about his wisdom, and people began to call him a genius. He lied about his courage, and he was made a general. He lied about his heart, and the most beautiful woman in the land agreed to marry him. With every lie, his life became more luxurious. He built a palace of white marble. He wore robes of purple silk. He became the king of the valley. But as his power grew, so did the darkness. The shadows were no longer just in corners. They began to crawl across the floors of his palace. They climbed the walls like black vines. And these shadows were hungry. They didn't just take the light, they took the sound. In the parts of the city where the shadows were thickest, birds stopped singing. Children stopped laughing. The wind itself became silent. Julian tried to hide the truth with more lies. He told his people the darkness was a sign of his mystical protection. He told his wife the silence was royal peace. But the more he lied to cover his tracks, the faster the shadows spread. Soon, the palace was a tomb of silence. Julian would sit at his dinner table, surrounded by the finest foods. But he couldn't hear the clinking of the silver. He couldn't hear the music of the flute players. He looked at his wife, but when she spoke, no sound came out of her mouth. The shadows had eaten her voice to pay for his lies. The most terrifying moment came when Julian went to hold his young son. The boy opened his mouth to cry, but there was only a hollow ringing. The shadows were taking the things Julian loved most to fill the void created by his dishonesty. Julian realized he was a king of a graveyard. He had everything he ever wanted, but he was living in a world of ghosts. Desperate, he fled back to the misty forest. He found the old woman. "Take it back," Julian shouted. "The silence is killing me. My wealth is worth nothing if I cannot hear my son's laughter." The old woman looked at him with pity. "The shadows are not a curse, Julian. They are the truth you refuse to speak. You built a world of illusions, and now the illusions are all you have left. There is only one way to bring back the sound, anything." Julian cried, "You must go to the center of your city," she said. "You must stand before every person you have deceived. You must tell them the truth about every coin, every deed, and every promise. You must lose the king to find the men. Julian was terrified. If he told the truth, he would be a beggar. He would be mocked. He would lose his palace. But then he remembered the silent face of his son. He returned to the city square. The shadows were so thick now that the sun looked like a gray coin in the sky. Julian stood on the high platform. His heart was beating fast. He took a deep breath and spoke. "I am a fraud," he whispered. As soon as the words left his lips, a tiny spark of light hit the ground. He continued. He told them about the fake map. He told them he was a coward who never fought a battle. He told them his wealth was stolen from the truth. With every confession, the shadows began to retreat. They pulled back like a tide going out to sea. The process was long and painful. Julian felt the weight of his crown vanish. He felt the silk of his robes turn back into rough wool. The people looked at him with anger, then with shock, and finally, with a strange kind of respect for his honesty. When Julian told his final lie, the lie about his heart, the last shadow vanished. Suddenly, the world exploded with sound. The wind roared through the trees. The fountain splashed in the square. And from the balcony of the palace, Julian heard the most beautiful sound in the universe. His son was laughing. Julian was no longer a king. He had no gold. He had no palace. He was just a man standing in the dust. But as he walked toward his family, he felt lighter than he had ever felt in his life. He realized that a lie is a heavy chain, and the truth is the only key that can break it. Your integrity is your only true wealth. A palace built on lies is just a decorated prison. Speak the truth, even if your voice shakes. In a world that tells you to fake it until you make it, have the courage to be real. Your words create the atmosphere you live in. Don't live in a world of shadows. If Julian's journey reminded you to value your own truth, please comment the word truth below. It helps me know you are listening. If you want to master your life and hear more stories of wisdom, subscribe to Wisdom Path Tales and hit the bell icon. Your support allows us to keep sharing these lessons with the world. Remember, a clear conscience is the softest pillow. Stay grounded and stay wise.